sense of civilization.
All right, let's go to Dan in Florida. You're on the air with Lyndon LaRouche, then Teeny, then others. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, how you doing, Alex?
Good.
Good. Actually, kind of got like a side question real quick. I wonder what's going on with Jason Bermas. Whatever happened to him?
Jason does the nightly news quite often. He always intended, he's done this twice. He came here and made one film, went back home, where his family and mother and sister and others are, and then he went back. So I think he was just on about a month ago on the nightly news with us.
Oh, okay, cool. But yeah, my question was basically about the Rothschild family. My sister had married into their family probably about 10 years ago. And, you know, I'm noticing, you know, when I first saw the situation, I didn't really think too much of it. Just thought he was a regular guy. But lately I've been noticing some things that are really, really strange lately. And, you know, I can see my family kind of having some issues here and then. Not going to talk about them all over the air. But,
well, there's a very simple answer. There are complicated explanations which really don't mean much. But you have to think from the top down. What happened is there was a process of successive imperial systems in Europe. And one came after the Byzantine Empire. And out of this came what became the Venetian Party, the first Venetian Party. The first Venetian Party was then defeated later on in the course of the change in religious alignments and so forth. And we started with the modern time, the modern Venetian Party, called the Second Venetian Party, the new Venetian Party. And this was a key factor which led to all the wars and so forth that came out of the 17th and 18th century. So in this process, the family of Rothschild, which was part of the families of the Venetian oligarchy, and were tied to what was called the second or the new Venetian oligarchy which became the British Kingdom. This group became the central feature of a group of Venetian bankers, international Venetian bankers, in which the name of Rothschild became leading during the course of the Napoleonic Wars. Since that time, the Second Venetian Party, typified by the leadership of the Rothschild family, as a financial family, became a dominant feature in the operations of the British Empire. So it's not that the Rothschilds contain some magical genius of evil. It's simply they've joined a club of evil, and it is evil.
Absolutely. Let's go to Teeny and then Michael. Teeny in Indiana, quick question for Lyndon LaRouche.
Yes, if Congress won't impeach Obama, why can't the American people impeach Obama?
Yeah, that's a good idea. There's got to be other ways.
All it takes is a number of politicians with the guts to push through this reform. That is, Section 4 of the 25th Amendment. That will get him suspended from power if the cooperation is there. The suspension of him from power would block World War III.
Which is just insane. They are moving towards giant multi-region wars, and nuclear weapons are already being threatened to be used. The Israel and the U.S. are saying we may use tactical nukes up front against Iran.
It's not Israel, it's a certain group in Israel which are controlled by the same process.
No, I know. And then it's sold as patriotic for people that live in Israel, but to be for this madness. And you got a bunch of idiots that don't even understand military matters who are supporting it. Thank you, Teeny. One quick final call for our guest. Michael in Texas, go ahead. Quick comment or question for our guest.
Was that Michael in Texas?
Yeah, that's you, buddy.
Okay. Terribly sorry to bother you. I appreciate you accepting the call. Quick call. Would y'all consider becoming content advisors for the corporation Wake Up America? WakeUpAmerica.com/constitutional believers. If you take a look at that, we are trying to return this country back to the constitutional values, and we need to wake up America. And I appreciate everything that you're doing to wake up America as well, and I appreciate everything that all of your organization and your guests do for waking up America as well. Can they as well become content advisors for Wake Up America organization?
Well, everybody's looking for a magic bullet. Basically, we have a treasonous, hijacked government. We need to stop the movement towards World War III. We need to reverse all this. Iran tried to get their uranium enriched in Europe, where it couldn't be used for bombs. The West didn't want to do that. Let me ask, and I appreciate your call, sir. Let me ask Lyndon LaRouche this question. I know that they threw out Mohammad Mossadegh, and then the West was involved at some level, actually betraying the Shah, not saying he was a good guy. I know they're heavily involved with British intelligence and certain elements of the Wahhabist. I'm not saying, you know, all of that Muslim sect, the majority are bad. I'm just saying that obviously we know Al-Qaeda, you know, is a Western foil. All of that's going on. And we know that this system is expanding on the subject of Iran. We know that with Iran-Contra, there were the behind-the-scenes deals with the mullahs and the CIA. I mean, sometimes I wonder if there aren't elements of the Iranian establishment aren't still working with the West in some type of elaborate saber-rattling to try to basically manipulate the price of oil and things. Lyndon LaRouche, we're almost out of time. I appreciate all the time you've spent with us, but please give us your take on that.
Well, the point is, you go back to the issue of this. It was Dulles, who worked for the British, who sank Mossadegh. And that was what started this whole process.
No, it was the British wanted all the oil for free, and Kermit Roosevelt and MI6, CIA MI6 team staged terror attacks on Muslims and blamed it on Mossadegh, and they used the Muslim extremists to overthrow Mossadegh, then double-crossed them and put the Shah in, then double-crossed him and put the Ayatollahs in, and tell our public that the Ayatollahs got in on their own. So I'm saying, is that relationship still there? I'm sorry.
The relationship is British. Any parts of the whole region. And now you have fluctuations where people who've been taken down by the British so often as their allies, who they revolt against the British. But it has always been the British Empire, which was the only significant force in the planet after the fall of the Soviet Union, was the United States, possibly versus the British. And everything hangs on that. We are the axis of the issue. If we can do our job, and I believe the American people, if they're mobilized properly, will respond, we can change the direction of history on this planet in a short period of time. But we need some leadership out there who are not like what we have as so-called selected leadership. They will not do the job. But I know that there are people in the Congress who are behaving badly or negligently or with cowardice. I know they're not bad people. And I know if we can get a little movement going on this thing, those people can be mustered together. And with that force, we can change the direction of this whole process. But we have to do it quickly.
Well, you've got a lot of your ideas and information at LaRouchePack.com. There's also LaRouchePub.com. Let's take one more call for our guest. Let's talk to Nick in London. You're on the air with Lyndon LaRouche. Go ahead.
Hello, Alex. Hello, Mr. LaRouche. It's great to see that you believe in Venetian mercantilism. I also subscribe to Dr. Mark Holzman's view. I can see, living here for 10 years, I can see that the society engineering that's taken place here, everybody's sort of treading on eggshells just to get ahead, you know. And I saw a documentary years back saying that the reason why the World War II was stopped was the American family values. Now, because they have downgraded us so much through fluoride in the water and Baal worship and just engineering us with propaganda. There's not enough character in your Congress, and there's not enough character in countries like this to stand up for what is right. Now, I believe what Alex Jones believes, which is stolen valor is not on. You know, people of honor, people of integrity should stand up for what is right and rout out these snakes, sons of snakes, grandsons of snakes. And the time has come where we realize that there is no quarter given by them. But unfortunately, they've got the Islamic Brotherhood, which they founded back in the 20s through the MI6, and they've put a fire under them. And here we have a gene pool. Here we have a society who all act communally. Any mature Islamic scholar does not consider it a religion. They consider it an empire. And they've had a fire lit under their arse, and these people do not turn back. They are going to crash the wall.
All right, well, let me ask that question then. Because we're almost out of time. There is a stirring up just by the global implosion and the increase in commodities prices, but there is a stirring of conflict in the Middle East and throwing out their old minions like Mubarak. What is behind that? Is that just part of order out of chaos, Lyndon?
That's the orchestration. The way you control, you have to look at the 7 Years' War principle as it was represented in 1763. The 7 Years' War principle has been the basis of the operations of the British Empire ever since that date. And they always play the same game. Get the other parties to quarrel among themselves, and when they're weakened by their mutual quarreling, come in as an imperial force and impose power from above. That's the way they do it. It's always been the same. And people are corrupted because they become involved with mistaken passions. They're so eager to fight with somebody else who may be mistaken, but is not the real enemy. The enemy is the guys waiting for the two competencies to be knocked down by their mutual battle. Exactly.
There's always a third or fourth or fifth player, and you go back to Rothschilds, always funding both sides of a war.
That's how it worked.
And then owning media on both sides, playing the two off against each other. It's so elementary. And they want all of what's left of Christendom and Islam to kill each other. And it's just, it needs to not happen.
Yes. Precisely. And the point is they're so discredited presently that if there's sufficient power mobilized by a leading group of people from different parts of the society to agree we're not going to do this nonsense anymore. That's all that's required. And that's why gutless candidates for president who will not deliver, presidential candidates which will not be what's needed, but compromise and make compromises which sell us out. It takes, as we did with Pearl Harbor, we reacted to Pearl Harbor properly. We won the war. And but for Truman's follies, with various people, but for Truman's follies, we'd have still won the war, not only for ourselves, but for the planet as a whole.
Well, expanding on that, it's all coming to a head. There's no doubt the global social engineers are trying to orchestrate a giant multi-region war, as the RAND Corporation says, and nuclear weapons are in the cards. It is insane. Lyndon LaRouche, thank you for the extended hour and 20-minute interview. LaRouchePAC.com or 800-929-7566. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Wow, well, that was an amazing extended interview. Please thank him, guys, in the minute or two I have left. I got Mark and Diane and Houston and Tony and everybody here that are holding. And I've got all this other news. I'm going to cover a lot of it on the Nightly News tonight I didn't get to. I mean, it's getting bonkers, crazy, how fast all this stuff is happening. Everything we were worried about, everything that we were concerned about, it's either happened or is happening. And more to come. If you think stuff's crazy now, we have just begun the slide down into what is the new dark age. And the globalists write white papers about a post-industrial world, and and they've sold us to love torture and corruption and abortion and death and war and all this evil. And when you're young, you think, oh, people that don't want you to have sin, they just don't want you to have a good time. There's not a good time in all this sin. Okay? They sell sin like it's sexy. But sin means you're concerned with petty garbage. You worship idols that don't deliver. Sin leads to the end of the family, the end of decency, the end of just everything wholesome. We need goodliness, a word people make fun of. We need to try to be good men. Lord knows we're already so corrupt. If you don't try to be good, you will go directly to the devil. I mean, it's a struggle. And people that don't struggle against evil give into it.